there for people to just see workflows and the different experiments that people are running and the different learnings that others have.
Tooling kind of increases our capacity in the day. We have more things we can do now because the tooling makes those kind of rote things easier.
I'm able to go through a spectrum of explorations that is so much larger than I could do in a day, and I can do it in minutes.
Agents are using tools. What does that look like and what does that mean?
Show up, try things, be curious.
I think the future is bright, but it has to be built.
I always see things that I didn't plan on seeing. I'm making micro decisions that I didn't have a grid for a year ago, and it's only because of the ability that AI gives me.
I feel like there's this binary thinking that like AI means fully automated. And it's like, no, in fact, I think some of the better workflows are the ones that aren't fully automated.
The ability to effectively multitask at a really high level is one of the core skills of operating in this AI world.
No preconceived notions about how things should be done.
This is the moment in time right now to reap the rewards of being
publicly curious. What do you do with the question, what if?
Hey guys.
Hi.
What's up, Design Fam?
This is Chloe Park.
Jenny Wen.
This is Soleo, and you're listening.
And you're listening
to the Dive
Radio Show.
That's not rid. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Start. Goodness.
Rid, you missed it in the intro, and someone said, "What's with the logo on logo on logo?" I agree. You need to space them out. Brought in a couple elements from new partners of the show who we'll be talking about over the next few weeks: Notion, Lovable, and Mobbin. Very, very happy to have tools that we already use in our kit partnering with us. Thank you for that to the three of them. Yes. How you doing, man?
Good, dude. Excited to be here. I also love the element of this show that is in the hours and minutes leading up to going live. We're always just having Fable or Opus just spin on something in the background. Like there's this frantic energy about the start of this that fuels me, man. This is going to be fun. I didn't expect to be building and experimenting so much just as a part of the core show itself, but this will be fun.
There was some talk earlier this year, which was like the way software can be built now has so many other more ephemeral uses. The way you can bring community into a software idea, and I'm noticing with this show, I'm always trying to spin something up, and it feels like we're given a live demo that we've never even tested yet. And I think we're probably going to continue that trend today.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Awesome. I want to kick off right away, as we're going to do, with our Designer of the Week voting, because that seems really cool. And I'm loving how many people in the community are getting involved in sending submissions for no, I want to nominate somebody. And we're going to kick right off. Voting will happen all through the show, and we will announce the winner by the end with, I like this. I like this better. Here we go.
Yes. Nice.
All right, here we go.
Hey Dive Radio, it's Pedro from Raycast and Glaze, and thanks Rob for the nomination. I'd like to recommend Daniela Muncian. She's an amazing designer and builder, currently working at Figma, where she's helped build Figma Motion, and she's been doing some crazy stuff with shaders. She's also been building her own apps, Biscuit Camera, which is a really cool way to take photos on your phone. That was her first solo iOS project. And Mia Calendar, a handwritten canvas calendar that is a great way to store your memories. Her sensitivity to design is really refreshing, and on top of everything else, she takes excellent analog photos. And now I'd like to nominate Danilo Campos, an insanely talented design engineer at Resend, to share his current inspiration.
Ooh.
Did the nomination piece kind of happen organically? Was that just Rob that started that?
No, I asked a couple of people.
You planted the seed. Okay. Yeah, something happened.
Yeah,
I kind of like it. I kind of like it. That's quickly becoming my favorite part.
Rob took it to the next step, and I think it's kicking off a fun little momentum.
Yeah.
But I have to say, if you do win, you got to pay it forward. You got to nominate someone, and that's what he needs.
Yeah, I like it. I love that recommendation too. I wasn't familiar with, like, you know how you see people's work in isolation, but you don't connect it to, like, oh my gosh, that's one person, right? For me, that was the moment when they had the Glaze Awards. So many cool things came out of that, like the Mac, and that calendar was really fresh. And so that kind of got me to be like, wait, who is this? And then you start to realize, oh, I saved the kill and all this.
I take notes of when someone's work, when they're like, you know, because we were talking about how people will be like, no, I'm this person on social media, and I'll see an avatar. But if I see if you're like, oh no, I made that thing, and I connect that,
Yeah,
that's a fun moment. Yeah.
totally.
Hi,
Totally.
my name is Iniolua. I am honored to be the inaugural Designer of the Week on Dive Radio. And now I would love to pay this forward. My nominee is Melissa Saya. She spent 5 years at YouTube and Google and really understood what it meant to design experiences for hundreds of millions of users. And she digs into culture at scale. Now she's leading storytelling at Reeve, and you can absolutely feel the palpable joy through which she designs and creates. For example, Reeve's latest campaign has captured the internet with such joyful, magnetic storytelling. And I believe Melissa's genuinely diverse background contributes to all of this. From product marketing to creative direction, and even beyond that, she's deeply exploring new age typography, creative interfaces, and the future of how we all design. And all of these feeds into her work. And it's infectious every time my work pops up on the timeline. And I hope you enjoy seeing it too.
Eni, I enjoy listening to you talk about topics.
I know.
You have very good articulation, and it's awesome suggestion or nominee, rather.
Have you played with Reeve yet?
I know what it is, and I have not.
I haven't. I mean, everyone speaks very highly of it. It's like one of those things that's on my list where I'm like, I know I got to tinker with this thing. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I think they're onto something.
I have a lot of thoughts about where a lot of this tooling is, because we're going to talk a lot about mixed media tooling and workflows today, not long after this. Now, I think for these designers of the week, last week we had 5, I believe. I think we're going to keep it to a nice 4.
I like it.
And so that's typically, ideally, if these nominee community contributions come in, 2 from the community, 1 from me, 1 from you. By the way, I am 1-0. Eni was my nominee last week. I'm not going to be quiet about that every week. But I do want to go ahead and make my candidate recommendation. And I have talked about Sebastian in the past. He's climbing in the follower count. He's not quite 10K.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. And all on work, all on sharing his work. Started sharing his work on Twitter, I think at the beginning of last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I randomly stumbled upon him. And there are people who came up in the like iPhone era as these interaction designers who kind of like knew how to code and do these different things. And I'm not sure if Seb knows how to code, but he is what I consider a very, what's the word I'm looking for? When I think of an interaction designer, that's Seb, and it's the micro details and the thing. So I want to show this to you real quick, because it's anything from like, if it's got motion, if it's got an ability to be, let's look at this. I probably should have prepped some of my favorites here. I didn't do that.
he has like there's like a, I don't know what it is, but it's like Pages. Like there's like a doc
There you
reader
go.
of sort.
Yeah. It was his doc reader that had just
That project's really freaking good. Like I have saved multiple snapshots of that progress. Like over the last like 6 months, I save it all because it's really, really good work.
He takes things like productivity tools, and this is like one of the things, right? A lot of people work on productivity tools, and they will look at all the stuff that I typically like to share, the mixed media, kind of like not very strong on the conversion side, maybe not even a great UX occasionally. And he's somebody who, rather than in the comments of those things says, that's bad UX and that's a terrible conversion, he says, I wonder what of that I could feasibly implement in a way that is positive UX, is positive conversion in something like a productivity tool. And he does it so well, so incredibly well. I can't fight for him enough. So anyway, I've taken up my 60 seconds.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Sebastian,
come on, get off the stage, man. You can't.
Yeah,
You can't go 2-0 today.
That is okay. All right. What do you got for us, Rid?
I got
You're gonna have to share screen.
Matt Sellers.
Matt Sellers.
Okay. So this is also somebody that I have talked about before. Few things that I love about Matt. He self-proclaimed interface alchemist. I love his portfolio. I did this at Lovable. I've talked about it at length. I think it's incredible. He just went above and beyond and really leaned all the way into this idea of what's the best way that I can create an experience around my work for people to consume. And this hits, right? Like I literally saw multiple hiring managers experience clicking through this. It hits, I promise you. But what is cool, I'm going to try to, as seamlessly as possible, share different tabs here. He's doing a few things that I like. One is, if we head over here, he's working on this tool. And there's like this category of tool. I would consider like Agentation and DialKit to be some of the early pioneers, but this idea of like the local widget that allows you to fine tune UI and it's really, really cool, right? Like you're able to, he's just going all in on interaction design. Like how can we make it as seamless as possible to edit that? I love this. I think that we're still in the first inning of the explosion that is this type of tool. And then on top of that, the reason that I really want to shout it out is I've been clicking through Lovable and it's not going to let me share my screen on Lovable. There we go. Okay. I've been clicking through Lovable recently. And, this is one of those companies that hyper growth, they're just holding on for dear life kind of thing. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a well-crafted product, right? But this dude got a job at Lovable. I can't remember how many months ago through the Talent Network. Maybe it's like 6+ months ago now. And man, you can see the impact that he is having. He had this color system. He totally redid their color system. I've tried so many times to copy this tab bar, but like it's just ridiculous the level of quality in all of these little tiny components and hover states. And also he's just a good dude. I was struggling with my own theming system for InFlight back in the day. And the way that we met is he responded to my tweet asking for advice, being like, hey, I'll just help you. We got on a call. He pulled back the curtain on his entire Figma theming system, which was way more robust than anything I'd ever even sniffed. Like it was crazy how he was thinking about variables and shadows and theming. And he's just like, here's exactly how it works. I recorded the whole thing and I used it to build my own system. Just a good dude. So I wanted to formally shine a spotlight on him.
Matt Sellers. Let's go, dude. I love seeing that. And I agree. Lovable has come a long way in their product offering. And so you can vote now. I guess I should probably put this one up. You can vote now at dive.radio/vote. This will be up until the end of the show, and we'll announce the winner then. Go give some love to your favorite. I'm going to go vote right now, actually.
I'm not trying to win, man. I'm going to start practicing my pitches.
I know I need to do it better. But Sebs, all right, we got some ties going on. We'll see what happens. See if I can go 2 for 2. I found that interesting that you called out something about his kind of Figma theming setup. I am rapidly moving through projects right now. And most of it's experimental stuff, so we can talk about it and get a lay of the land. But as I do that, I'm finding that I'm creating my own design systems. Like I have created 3 different design systems built for different use cases. One's kind of a game design system that's evolving. Another is a sort of Notion-esque productivity type of design system. And then I've got another one. And the way that I'm using those is I create the version I need to see. I should probably pull this up in a sec, but it's a lot of different visuals and the components, the typical way we consume design systems. And then it's the more markdown design MD, what Vercel's doing with this, so that agents can consume these design systems and use them. And I found this interesting to see Cursors now creating kind of this, there's more pipelines coming out on how do you get your agent to very specifically understand how and when to use different components and parts of your design system, and how do you carry that across all the different tools that they use. And I just wanted to call out the fact that Cursor's kind of thinking about this. A lot of companies have been thinking about this. I mean, this has been a long-running problem space, but now this axis of how do you get your AI tooling to understand it is kind of this new invention. How are you guys?
Yeah.
Do you do anything like that? Is that a thing you have wrapped in Conductor or what?
I have a design MD file that I've invested a good amount into that maps to tokens inside of Paper. But the design MD file, like honestly, I don't even really need it for Paper because all of that is native. So whenever I'm doing like prototyping stuff in Paper, it's pretty good. But I do a lot in HTML. And so I've honestly invested most of my system in just helping me create really quick HTML prototypes that look and feel pretty real.
Right.
I still kind of have the feeling that there's like a lot more that I can do though. And part of me is, I guess a trend that I didn't necessarily see coming is the idea of the built-in browser, like how important the built-in browser is and what it unlocks for these IDEs like Cursor, where it you know, that just being able to wrap Figma inside of it is pretty interesting. MagicPath's been doing that too. Because like for me, I don't really have interest in a local agent inside of my design tool because it's never going to be the source of truth for me. Like design is always going to be a thing that I am doing on as a part of my broader process with which ultimately is derived from the code base. I'm going to ship code. Like that is every single project that I start, every single chunk of work is always going to be, I want to ship code and I'm going to use the canvas in a certain way in order to facilitate that. So my source of truth has to be tied to the code base. I don't want it locally. So this kind of stuff is interesting to me because I'm way more compelled by the ability to wield Figma from Cursor as an adjacent chat to whatever I'm doing while building than I am to like spin up one of their agents locally inside of Figma.
Yeah. This is probably a topic I'm going to talk a lot more about too. We'll have a week kind of dedicated to this because I think this is a really interesting, I think this is an area with a lot of different variations of workflows and I'd love to see it. I'm getting some feedback saying, hey, bump that volume up, Tommy, just to balance out a little bit. I probably need to speak up. That's why I love chat. Please let us know how we could make it better. And we are continuing to do our best. 1%. So first time live listener, Cope, what's up? Sean Cope, yo. What is up, guys? I love this. This is such a cool way to hang out with people and talk about this stuff. Now, Rid, we were talking about demos. And you have a demo of something or other. This is one of your authored segments, and I have no idea what it is. And I'm going to put you on the spot and say, is it time?
I think it is. I've literally been like side-eyeing Fable over here. Like, is it time? Is it time? And I just got the yes confirmed with fresh checks against the live domain. So
we're going to test it live. Last week, it was the call-in app that we built, and it just made it with a couple kinks. This week, it's, what are we calling it?
So I'm calling this Backyard Designers. And this is a little bit of a risk because I'm going to date myself into, I'm like, it's really hinges on people's experience. Like, has anybody here ever played Backyard Baseball on PC?
No.
Oh no, Tommy. No, really? Oh my.
I don't think so. I'd have to, let me look it up.
Okay.
I gotta look it up.
Okay. Hold on. Let me give a little bit of context. So Backyard Baseball was this, literally the PC childhood. Like it was so good. It was incredible. Like you'd have this bench and you'd pick your team, and it was a mixture of like these kid creators, or this kids that this team created. But then also you had real people, so you could like pick A-Rod and Vladimir Guerrero and all players that I loved. Sanchez, I'm so glad people get Pablo Sanchez references because he was the best player. He was this little guy here. I can't find him. Anyway, the UI is fun. It was a huge part of my childhood. This is Pablo Sanchez, by the way. And you sent me a text and you asked me like, hey, have you tried to one-shot a game yet? And I was like, no, but I should. And so I kind of started experimenting. I went down some more predictable paths, like little like diver games and whatnot. It's like, these are just kind of
What did
It
you
is-
do, Rid?
they're whatever. So what I did instead is I tried to recreate the backyard baseball team selection for design Twitter.
Yes.
So we're gonna just let's hope, man. Let's hope this works. Please God work.
So you built, okay, you was supposed, so I was like, hey, Rid, why don't you do a segment like something? And he had an idea. I did not know you were going to go this deep.
I went really rogue. Rogue.
Yes.
We had I'm throwing Tommy the biggest wrench for everybody who's watching right now. Like, this is not what we talked about at all. But I just had an idea, man, and I had to run with it. So this is how it works. You can draft 7 real designers, but you have a salary cap of 400,000, and each person's cost is the amount of followers that they have on Twitter, and you can assemble a team. So if I hit start,
400,000 is the budget.
yeah, because you'll see, you'll see why.
What is this?
So you'll notice a lot of familiar people here, and you can click in on somebody and like, boom, there's Inga Hampton. And
dude,
it gets all their information. You can like add her, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make her my brand designer, and then she gets drafted. Here's Yorn.
does this pull in their follower count and automate the budgeting?
Yeah, it does. Here's Brett.
There's Yorn hanging out there.
There's so many.
Brett.
It did like here's Pablo. Like, it did a really Jason.
Wow.
I had so much fun with
names I
this.
want to add to this. So how
I know.
do I add to this?
I haven't built that yet, but for sure we have to have a way to add to it. Right now it's like I actually have a whole pipeline that I think there's like another 20 that are still building.
So here's what's the plan? What's the game plan? So before we get into what you want me to do or us to do with this, what is the plan for this thing? Or is that an afterward thing?
Okay. All right. Let me just show you. I'm going to run through how it works, because I'll show you the plan and it's kind of tied to the last screen kind of thing. So, oh man, I definitely am one deployment behind, so it'll be a little bit more polished. But the way that it works, so like if I'm just going to assemble a team really quickly. Dan's too expensive. Let's get Maggie. So Maggie's going to be my design engineer. Definitely going to get Tiago here. Let's make him a product designer. Let's go Fee on. Oh, Fee's expensive too.
Yeah, I'd say Fee's gonna be pricey.
Yeah, I didn't realize Fee got so many. Okay, Evil
My
Rabbit.
plan is to play baseball. Duh. My bad.
Okay, let's find a couple more. Grace. I like Grace. We'll make her our web designer. We need a design leader. Let's go, Katie. And all right, 2 more.
Yeah, Katie,
And-
don't tweet anymore. You're gonna get too expensive.
Yeah, Daniel's a nice budget pick. So then you have your wild card. I'll go any on the wild card. So a couple things I want to show. One, this is the ending animation, and you get like, this is your team. This is kind of the plan for this thing. Is you can build your team.
Look
and
how
then,
cute Evil looks here.
Yeah, the models I had this whole pipeline set up where it's like it did like unbelievable amounts of research on each person to come up with their little quirks and stuff, which I'll show in a second. But you can copy the image, and actually it will, let's see if this works. Big money. Not looking good. We'll fix that. So there we go. You can copy images and share them, and it actually will like link who we are, who you've mentioned. But what I want people to do also, if I go back to the bench here, there are so many wild little Easter eggs in here. I want to find the Easter eggs. Basically, is a whole part of this.
Ooh,
Oh man, I can't even find the one that I want.
Dude.
It's Amy.
Is that Yeah, I'd say that's Amy. Yeah.
Hold on,
That's
hold on, hold on. I want
so
to.
great. I can there's Puckett. I saw two.
He does a pretty good job, right? Hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta find Puckett. Oh my gosh. I need to make this clipboard draggable. I want to be able to click that thing one more time. See if I can get this to work.
Dude,
Nope,
this is
not gonna
so
work.
good.
Okay. Find all the Easter eggs though. It's so this is Evo. Basically, people bring objects. So like Evo Rabbits just makes everything dark mode. It just eliminates all of the color.
What?
There's let's see, what's another
Please tell me
good one?
Pablo's just turns this into an entire
Oh,
app tool.
Dude, watch this. Watch Rios. Watch Rios. So he said something about being a K-pop star. So you can debut him.
What?
There are many in there to find. So I'm gonna drop the link. Even I'll probably make a
What is
I'll
the
probably make-
put it in chat. Put
there's the link in chat. Build your teams and tag us.
So
on
I want
Twitter.
to do this. One, your
Okay.
frames are choppy, they're complaining.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay,
gonna
okay.
play with this.
All right, do it.
Backyarddesigners.club. Damn, you already branded and everything.
Yeah, man.
Backyarddesigners.club. How does your boy get access to the Git on this?
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. We will do this.
All right. So here we go. Backyard Designers. I'm going to create my team. Oh, this is fun, dude. So Yorn, Nad, yep. And it randomizes where they sit because they
Yeah,
weren't
it
sitting in
should.
these places.
It should randomize them.
Dude, this is so great. I want to be able to zoom into rows.
Yeah.
Look at Brett, so happy here. Let's ooh, he's pricey. We're gonna grab
You
Brett.
gotta be a little bit strategic with it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Pick a slot. What do I want Brett as? Ooh. Product web. And then design it. So we'll do web because he can service. Oh, Jamie. Oh, before she gets too big, we're gonna grab Jamie.
Watch
and
the
add her.
little sprite change. So
That's fun.
each person has two different images. Some of them I think are still building, but that was kind of a fun part of it too.
I'm going Frank product. That's sick. That's
Rockstar.
so good,
Dude, it did
dude.
such a good job. It literally like did like a deep dive in all of these
hold on.
individual people to find their quirks.
To be clear, you created a pipeline. You didn't
Yes.
go in and manually tell
No,
it to
dude,
do all that.
I
You
did
said,
nothing.
oh,
I
we need a
literally just
walkthrough on
made
that
a
next week
plan.
or something.
Yeah, dude, it's literally a pipeline. So once I got it to work like a little bit more manually 5 times, and then I just pasted Twitter links, and the output is everything.
Oh, look at it. Tells me you don't have budget.
Yeah, I can't afford Dan anymore.
Oh man, this is so good.
So each person has a whole blob associated with them, which is all of their information, and then there's a bunch of little things. Like if you hover over
what a
them for like
get.
10 seconds, they'll speak.
Oh,
Or
no.
they'll say something. And it has each person has like the idea of a quirk is what it's called, which is like their
Okay.
weird thing that they build
Yeah.
the personality around.
Is Kevin? Oh, Kevin?
Kevin's a bargain buy, man.
He is. I didn't mean to wild card him. I was actually gonna put. That's hard. Kev, I think you're leadership material.
Ooh.
I mean, like I would put
Vote
in
of
wild card
confidence.
too, but I don't. Oh, I don't know. It won't let
Oh,
me.
you know what? He's not a leader. So there's eligibility blocks associated with each
Oh,
person.
I can't assign
They're a little
running
looser than I
back
think I wanted them to
to a
be.
quarterback position. Okay.
But exactly. So sorry, Kevin. We have programmatically decided that you cannot lead.
Well, Nad, you're going leader, bud. And then Kev, you are gonna be my wild card. All right, I got my team, dude. I'm ready. I don't know how they face off at this point. Prototype llama?
Oh, you're missing one, maybe? You're missing one person.
Oh, a design engineer. I don't think I
So you can
afford
filter.
that.
You can filter at the top of the page too to make it easy.
Oh, this is clean. I can afford Rano? Yeah, let's go. Team photo. Dude. Is post on X work?
I don't
doesn't.
know. Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah. Bummer. Okay.
That's so good, man. Like this is
it's fun, right?
This is fun. Copy image. Just made my design baseball team featuring who did I add here? I added
See, this is the man, that's a bummer that the post on X, because it actually would I had it working and I must have just broke it, but like it'll automatically draft a tweet with everybody's handles in it for you.
dude,
So I'm kind of bummed
get
that didn't work.
that
But we'll fix it.
working because that is
we'll fix it.
sick. And then we're gonna do real quick. We're doing this live though. No, we are doing this.
Ethan says sell this to Dribble to revive their business model.
I could see it. I could see it. Yeah, this is good. And then Rano. Whoops. And then the link, and there you go. Try it here. Made by Rid. This is sick, dude. This is okay. So just so everyone knows, Rid had an idea, and he was like, "Hey, we should do a thing where every week we, draft a team of designers as like a way to spotlight more people." And I was like, "Okay, like that could be interesting. There's a lot of things to figure out. What's cool? How do you win? All these things." And he go off and make this, and I'm so interested in the pipeline. I want to see the pipeline. If you should prep something in the next couple of weeks, I'd love to see that
I will.
as we build this out. And also, community, like if you guys have some suggestions to make this interesting, let us know.
It's kind of a first step in something that Tommy and I are interested in. Fact is, games are cheap to make now, or a little like I wouldn't even call this a game. Like, yeah, it's a game, but it's more like it's like a community-driven experience. I'm obsessed with this nugget of an idea. Like, what are all of the little things that we can make just to hang together and do weird things together, And I don't know. We'll see how often we crank them out, but I'm hoping this is one of many in my mind, at least.
Where's Tommy and Rid to add them to my team design?
You can't add them to the team because I was like, I'm not gonna be that self-centered.
I want to see what the pipeline thinks my quirk is.
Dude, it's we don't have quirks. We are in here. I will tell you that there is a light Easter egg where you can see us. You can see what you look like.
Wait a second. Well, now I want to go play with it. That's fun. This is well
I'm
done.
telling you.
How long does this take you to
Click
make?
around. I'll tell you, man. I'll look at the timestamp of
All
our
radio
chat.
nominations need to get added to the rosters as well. I love that. And we can automate that, by the way. I can connect my app to your pipeline.
Yeah,
and
we
anytime.
totally could. Yeah.
Oh, yes, dude.
Literally all I need is a Twitter URL and it runs.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, if people have a weird image and it can't find them on, every once in a while you need to help it a little bit on just the image, but it works. So I had this idea at 1:30 yesterday.
1:30 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it was about, I've been done for a little bit. It took me about, I wasn't actually doing that much other than overseeing, but the whole thing was built in 20,
of that was a
24
product
hours.
of just yapping into Super Whisper, Whisper Flow?
Yeah, totally. I just yapped for a good bit. And I was like, I had the nugget of idea. And then I was like, okay, what are the riskiest parts? Like, what do we need to validate? And the two things I wanted to validate are, one, can I create the image gen pipeline? I did that like 5 times to refine that prompt. And I was just doing it. I was actually just using like ChatGPT, GPT-2, just making the image. And then I had it create a prompt, saved that. And then once I had felt good about that, I was like, okay, now let's get like the 5 people into the world. Like, can we actually build something that feels fun and doesn't feel lame? And so I just built a small bench with 5 people and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then I just had it run the pipeline. And then I had Fable come up with 5 waves of like 10 to 15 product questions each.
Yes.
And then I just rambled probably for about 20 minutes of straight talking based off of prompts. And I had it create like an actual PRD based off of that. And some things I was very specific about, like if I had an idea for like how I wanted the UX to function, like this top bar, for instance, with the search and the chips. Like I could picture that in my head, so I described it exactly. And the player card, like I did do a little riff on the player card. I saw that like 5 different ways with like a quick HTML prototype. So I kind of cheated there a bit, but then I left a lot of wiggle room. Like on the share experience, I sent a couple links for inspiration, and then I was just like, do your darndest kind of thing. And then the final prompt to kick it all off, I just said, I basically just told it to write the prompt. It's like, what's the prompt that's going to get the best possible output that you're going to like not cut corners at all? It wrote the prompt, I hit enter, and I went to sleep.
That is awesome. I'm getting feedback that my mic's still kind of.
I don't know if it's changing for me, at least.
Things are turned up quite a bit, so I'm trying to see.
Just like put that thing on your mouth, man.
Hello.
I'll back up on mine so everybody can just turn it up without me overpowering.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope this is better. Can anyone give me some feedback? I have something I want to really dig into in a second, and I want to make sure this mic's good. Yeah, this is great, man. People are already playing with this, by the way, and they're like, "What am I looking at?" Josh Puckett put
anchor otters.
Hey, Josh picked himself, by the way. He picked himself.
Oh my gosh.
He picked Gabe. That was a good pick. I was looking at Gabe. Mary Kaftar. Who else we got? Yeah. Anyway, I think we're good on sound, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going to just yell into this microphone and hope you guys can hear me just fine. I can hear Tommy just fine. Heck yeah, Adrian. All right, so you're talking about games, and you're talking about how easy this has gotten. Do you know just how easy this has gotten? Have you seen this wave? So I don't know what it is about Opus 5 that kicked off this trend of, look at the game I just one-shotted. But that has become a thing that my feed is now filled with over the last, I don't know, week, maybe?
I think week,
and pretty insane. So Matt Schumer kind of... 5 one-shotted this in 24 hours.
I sent this link to Fable, by the way, because it made something that was like pretty lame, and I was like, no, you don't understand. This is where the ceiling is.
and you know, Matt claims, and there's a lot of skepticism in his claim from a lot of people. They're like, there's no way that every asset here is completely custom, from the objects to the noise, the audio, everything. And that this was a one-shot prompt. Pretty incredible. And he goes in to talk about what this is, and we'll talk about it in a second. But like, can I just show us, like, look at the games coming out.
Ooh, I haven't seen this one. This is beautiful. Wait, like this, what? This imagery is really good.
It's crispy.
Yeah.
This is crispy. Let's see. So there's something there, and you know, excuse me, just the physics that we're seeing coming out of this, and again, everyone claiming this is like a Opus 5, and I don't know why Opus 5 is getting all the love for this. Like, where's the
I think it's just cheaper. I think it's just cheaper. Yeah. It's expensive to run Fable on a whole game like this.
It really is. By the way, what did you use for our baseball?
I did all the planning and writing with Fable. I pretty consistently told it to use sub agents when it made sense, and then I just built it. I'm sorry. I got planning and everything with Fable, and then I built it with Opus 5.
Also an Opus 5 product.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, look at this. Like the physics on that are really interesting. All the particles. I love that. Another one here. That sound is. There's painterly style. So just a couple of these examples I wanted to show because it got me really inspired. And this is where I sent Rid a text last week, and I said, create for us a one-shot game, and I'm going to do the same, and we're going to compare some notes. And I'm sorry, I hate one-shot challenges because I can't stop. I'm like, no, we got to keep going. We got to make it better. Like, this is nuts to me. This is pretty nuts. Very No Man's Sky. You big gamer? You game still? I know that was based on a game from the days of war.
I was really into sports games and then like Call of Duty, Halo. That's pretty much it.
Little shooter guy. What's the token cost for these games? Well, it's Opus 5, so not as much as Fable 5. But I want to be clear to everybody of what we're showing here, right? We're talking about games, and I'm going to get deep into games for a second. But what I'm trying to show you is what is a game? A game is really just a way to... It's a collection of mixed media assets, audio, visual, animation. It's mechanics. But something a lot of games do that I really started to figure out or ask myself questions about as I was going through a workflow I'm going to show is how do you get somebody to care about a pixel, right? Mm-hmm. How do you get somebody to invest their time? If we build B2B tools or things that offer like some sort of problem solving value, that's an easier sell. How do you get somebody to sit down and waste their time caring about pixels for hours at a time? It's a really interesting thought exercise. And it immediately comes up in the criticisms when people are in these comments. They're like, look how beautiful. But other people are like, this is not a game, right? And I think people evaluate these demos differently because what I think a lot of these demos are showing is that not look what this is. It's a finished product. I'm about to go make a bunch of money with this. What these demos are really showing is we're seeing tool workflows now. We are seeing these tool workflows that are tool chaining together. We are seeing the ceiling and the bounds or the possibilities of tools. If you open up Higgsfield, maybe even Reeve, I haven't opened up Reeve. You open up a lot of these different tools, Flora, the Canvas tools we're fairly familiar with, and we see some additional features coming out and you have to learn them. But for the most part, there's a lot of overwhelm in some of these new tools because they're trying to do so many things across an asset pipeline. Mm-hmm. But I think what we're seeing in these are prototypes of not just look at the output, but more of look at the output of a workflow that I am experimenting with. Yeah. And I wish more people looked at it that way. But also what I'll say to that too is, I made a take recently and I kind of called this out that I'm enjoying these mixed media workflows. It's kind of the best name I have for it. Mixed media in design is not anything new. This was big in Flash, as Adrian is calling out. Multimedia designer was kind of a running title for a good while. But there's a lot of people experimenting with these workflows. We're seeing like Blender mixed with Higgsfield mixed with Claude. That's a workflow I'm going to show you guys in a second. Or OpenAI's Image 2 with Paper, with Claude. Like there's so many tool chain workflows happening. I'd be very curious to hear what tools were involved when you created the baseball game. And there's a lot of people exploring these different ways. And I built out a game that is very much a game demo. But then we're going to pull back and I want to show you how this whole game area, because a lot of us are like, we're not game designers. Why are we talking about games? It's just a collection of tools that brought these outputs together and mixed media that tried to get people to care about a pixel and to spend their time using an app. And I want to show how people are actually doing that, product and web designers in products and web. We'll get into that in a second. But this stood out to me. I called out Finn because he's been experimenting with a lot of stuff I like. And he says, thanks for the shout out. I've been trying to think of what to call this. And I like mixed media. He's having the same problem a lot of us are having, which is like, what am I demoing? What am I showing here? Let me show you a game. Look at what Opus did. Look at what I did with these tools. And it's like, no. Yes, it's a game, but it's the workflow. And it's the mixed media workflow, and we don't know how to critique it, and we don't know how to share it. So there's this gap, and hopefully we can fill a little bit of that gap today. I also want to call out the fact that Three.js, which is getting a ton of usage in a lot of these one-shot games, it's 13 million downloads a week. Like, bro, look at
I didn't realize that was happening.
Over 5 years since 2022 or just before. That's an insane spike. And this is kind of the same thing. You kind of have TypeScript, 3JS, and WebGL, all these things just getting insane usage because of AI tools. I also want to call out everything we've seen has been 3D, right? Very 3JS, WebGL heavy. And I'm somebody who loves the point and click, the text adventures, the how do we pull in assets that aren't necessarily 3D? And I just want to call in...
WQWR is quieter than you remember. Rain taps the booth glass, and every old machine seems to be waiting for a voice.
So this is from a community member, Brad. He actually is a mod for our Discord, and he's like, "Oh, I made a thing, and it's based on his love for the text adventure point and clicks." And I love this, mixing audio, mixing static images. There's SFX. There's, I think the rain back there is moving too. So a lot of fun stuff. I dig this a lot. Now, before I get into my workflows, Matt, who shared that first like Call of Duty thing that we saw, he calls it a gauntlet loop. And I don't care what you call these loops. This is, packaged to be consumed as content. That's great. But loops are getting a whole bunch of love over the last month. You just ran a loop to build that entire asset creation workflow that shipped overnight. I've built loops that I'll show you. The gauntlet loop, it's... it's like, what's the idea? You have to use an actual agent like OpenClaw. Give it a goal. I want to create a game that achieves the following outcomes. Give it like a bar. Now, I want to talk about how to set this bar, because the way Matt introduced this is something I've been doing a lot, but he inspired me to do something a step further. And basically, every time we talk about taste, how do we create a gate so that the loop, as it's running through this, meets a gate and has a really angry critic who looks at the work and says, no, all of this is trash. This gets 4 out of 10s across the board. Get back in there and cook again. In that little process, we first called that Ralphing. I'd say like at the end of last year, this concept of Ralphing, where it's like point the agent at a problem and have it smash its head at it over and over again until it gets better. And loops are just a better way to do that with more gates to evaluate the work. So just something to think about. Now, when we did our one-shots, go ahead, man.
Well, it's almost cliche at this point, but I just want to underline what you're talking about in terms of focusing on the underlying workflow rather than the output, because everything that you're saying, it reminds me of that, I think it's the Chris Dixon quote where he talks about like the thing that the smartest people are doing on the weekends is what we're going to do during the actual work week, right, in the future, years from now. It feels like that, right? It's like, of course I don't actually care about this game. But for me, it was, Esha from Perplexity. And I remember she was talking to me, this would have been over a year ago. And she built this generation system for the invite cards for comment, and every single one of them was unique. And at the time it blew my mind, right? Like it felt really almost unattainable. And what I just did was not that. I think hers was way more complex, but it felt like it's just like that little step where it's like, oh, it's not actually that hard to just chain things together and have a nice little clean input output. And yeah, I'm not always going to be using that for a game, but I can start to imagine ways that I would apply that in the actual UX that I'm responsible for.
Yeah. I also want to recreate the old Spy Fox, Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish Games. It says Throwback Gaming. Yes.
GoldenEye, that's really what we need to start working on.
Ooh, a new GoldenEye that changed the state of multiplayer. Yes. Yes. And so like one of my favorite games, because we were talking about this one shot, and I was like, well, you know what I like? Like, yes, I know the 3D, the 3JS games and all of it. It's very visually, listen, the content strategy today is to just go make something, vibe code some visually compelling thing, and just rack up the likes.
Yeah.
But I like, as Brad does, the kind of point and click stuff. And I like roguelikes. In fact, one of my favorite games is called Faster Than Light, FTL. And so I was like, okay, it's a game you kind of play on repeat, and every run you do, you get upgrades and you go through these procedurally generated nodes to get to the end, or you die before you get to the end. And so I was like, cool, let's do it. So I want to walk you guys through what I did here. and some of the things I learned. And I want to show you what the one shot yielded me. And I did a one shot with Fable and with Opus, and both were this. All right. It's called Forward Deployed Engineers. Right. So this was the one shot. Let's roll out. It made some audio with the web audio engine in real time. It pulled in its own images. I didn't create any of this. It created this randomized node with these different encounters, different mechanics and things. It's very. This
What's
would have
that
been
word?
a game in the early 2000s, right?
For sure.
But it sucks. I was like, this could be better. And so that's what I started to work on. Here was version 1. We'll call, if that was the alpha, we will call this version 1 here. I just realized there we go. Okay. Is that the same one? I might have the same one pulled up. Let's do this one.
Sure looks the same.
Yeah, it's the same. We got a little deliberate now. And this, I had started to get my hands involved in the clay.
Feeling
roll
this intro
out.
song.
So now we've got like the interface, and we've got some more stuff coming up, and I'm like, okay, there's something here. We're going into pixel style again, inspired by FTL. Sounds very Tron. Yeah, I wanted to get some stuff in there. Now let me kind of show you where it's at right now, after a day or so of really getting my hands in this clay. Okay.
Cool.
Walk prologue.
Breakfast after junction.
Nothing owed this morning.
Cold contact. Shoulder side.
Where is everybody?
Karsten. Good name.
Stripped, not burned.
Got some delays. So it goes through this like intro. We get into things. You go down your markers. Let's kind of click around and just for a second here.
You generated a lot of stuff for this.
Is your dollar counter?
Yeah, I'm like unbelievable. You did. I mean, it all looks very consistent. With what?
Amazing. Let's see it live. Oh, they're almost dead. Are they gonna die, man? Oh, I ran out of missiles.
Work the frame.
Oh, see, it's got the random bark here. Hold on. Oh, they're trying to give up now because they're like, uh-oh. Oh, end them. Oh, we got it. And then anything else. Oh,
She's smiling.
So good.
You know, and it's got a marketplace. It has this. There's a lot of stuff happening here, and it's great. It's fun, right? This is not something I'm going to ship, and I mean, you can actually go play this right now. Feel free to check it out. I'll post it in chat. But again, when I share this, what I'm not sharing is a game is me saying, hey, look, I made a game. It's ready for the market, and it's going to compete against people who are dedicating their time making games. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you heard voiceover. You see consistent design. You see mechanics. You see images, all kinds of stuff. And there was a bunch of workflows that were involved in making this happen. And so I want to talk about what some of those workflows are. And before I do want to remind everybody to please go and vote at dive.radio/vote for our designer of the week. I want to see who's winning here.
Melissa
is winning. Ooh.
Kind of commanding lead too. Man.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So go over here and vote for the designer of the week. That will be going on for a little while. And as a reminder, we will be doing show call-ins near the end. in the last 30 minutes. We'll put that up once it's ready. So this game, right? Let's go back over to this view. This is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with this. In fact, there is a real game I want to create that follows a lot of similar mechanics. And so what this is doing for me, in addition to creating these mixed media workflows, is I'm also creating a game engine. There's a sort of, as I'm going through what works about this and what doesn't, I want to create a game engine around it to recreate some of this and to change other parts of it. That combat flow, that's not going to make the cut. We're going to change that a lot. But it's like there's a lot of lessons learned in just doing this. And that's what I've learned about working with AI tools, man. Do you feel this way? For me, It feels like working with AI outputs is like a big mass of clay. And by the end of the result, you're going to have pruned away so much of this clay. You're taking things away, shaping it into the thing you want. Whereas I think a lot of us are used to kind of starting with no clay and like materializing as we need things. And this is the opposite. It's just taking things away from a big mass that kind of just shows up into existence, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, another piece of it too is it's almost impossible not to learn something about how technology or your computer works whenever you do it too. And like an example for me is like I hadn't actually really went very deep into what you could do with sprite sheets and like setting up a workflow to take an image and slice it up a bunch of different ways. Like I'd literally never done that before. I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't even trust that it could be good. Then I'm like having AI explain to me, okay, oh, that's how that actually works. Oh, now I can imagine what how other apps pulled it off. That's my favorite part too. Like,
yeah.
You just learn, man.
Well, and so what I want to say.
Bring the book.
Oh, we've got barks. They bark randomly. What I want to tell designers too, and we'll back out of this, is that my Christmas lights, is that there's a lot to be had from this. You don't have to be a game designer to think about what Brad Woods calls juice. How do you make something feel haptic or emotional? How do you care about a pixel when it's a landing page or when it's a productivity tool, you know? Not just the game. I would say it's easier to make someone care about a productivity tool because they are there for a reason. They know what they're trying to get. Keeping someone in a game, harder. But there are some great examples of where people are bringing mixed media flows into the design process in ways that they're not subtractive from like the goal of the business, right? Like I love this and it's very interactive and it moves a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, it's moving with the mouse, I think, or it's moving on its own and with the mouse. I can't tell. And actually, let's go look at this because I want to see this. Is there a lot of inspiration people are taking? Is there a website for this? I don't know. That's really, that kind of stuff is fun. Amelia Wattenberger was one of the first examples I saw of telling stories through mixed media in these landing pages. And so she writes a blog post about like, what is this new way of workflow? And I love the way she brings in media, right? Like she'll have like all of this is just part of like a very AI driven workflow across tool chains. And it just, in my opinion, tells a compelling story. Again, not necessarily things that you would use for like a hard conversion rate, but there's ideas that you can pull from this. And you can see some of those ideas in like, look at what I'm about to show you, because nothing on this landing page is text. None of this is text. Why? Why was that decision made? Well, I'll show you why they made that decision. Right? But this is the part, like right here, that refraction kind of like right here. Right here is a perfect example. Watch this. Oh, dude, that's fun.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like
awesome.
you're telling me you can't take an interaction from this, something visual there, and apply it in an interesting way without being super distractive. You know, of course you can.
You're teeing up one of my one-ups so perfectly too.
Am I? We'll get into the one-ups.
This is great.
We'll do one-ups after this, and then I'll get into the mixed media workflows that I learned. But like, look at this. So if you haven't seen Stripe Press's website, they've got like the books lined up and really cool way to interact with it. But SEO, oh, we've solved that problem, haven't we? Like SEO, when you have very deep, rich, no text, you just write it in the back. But this is cool, and I want to see, inspired by Trevor Noah's design. So that's the original site. But let's go look at. Is his not available? I thought his was, but that's fun. Mainly, I'm just trying to show some examples of these different ones. Fred Moon, community member, shared a really sick design, a landing page here. Is the live URL. Let's look at this. I want to see. Draw Zero.
Just do it. No, you're not sharing the tab. Hold on. Don't mess it up. Don't break it. Share the tab, because this is actually one of my one-ups, but it's perfect because apparently my screen share sucks anyway.
Oh wait, this is one of your one-ups?
Yeah, but like do it though, because
okay, I'll give you this one up.
Yeah,
I'll give you this one up, but I'm gonna do it. So
do it.
Draw Zero.
It's so good.
You believed.
Is this your first time going through this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. I've looked through this 10 times. I'm obsessed.
College would land you a job. You believed college would land you a job. Tap to hold.
It's so good, right? The flip off. Oh man.
Oh wow. You're free
some Stranger Things music.
Yeah. The hand's moving, but like, what is the? Oh, scroll. Look at this. Yeah. And so I'm gonna pause for a second, because if you're a designer and you're looking at this, you're probably gonna say like, well, how do you do this with layers, with objects? Well, I don't know how this was done, but what I learned from my gaming experiments is every object created by itself and think in layers, right? And every one of these can have so much more. You create an object like this with some sort of refraction or transparency, add a little code to kind of illusion that effect even more, and you can get this with this video background. I would even make this hand its own object, and this background its own layer as well, but I don't know how they did it. That's cool. That's a fun, by the way, that typeface, I like.
Can you turn down the desktop audio? Is that possible?
I can.
Yeah, do that. You can cut it in half.
All right. Hard to hear you. Sorry, guys. I got to figure out why the mic is having its issues today. We'll get that sorted. Zero. I love the typeface combinations here.
No, right?
Join the wait list. How do I join? Oh, just here. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. I like it a lot.
That was probably my favorite scroll of the week.
Yeah. Like that a lot. Yeah, so I wanted, like, there are ideas and ways to think about this, and someone like Sebastian, my nominee for the week, would probably look at a lot of this stuff, and I won't speak for him, but it's what I love about his style is that he can take some of these fun interactions, because some designer might look at that website we just looked at and said, it's probably terrible on conversions. And who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it's doing exactly what it means to. But there's definitely ways you can look at that and extract really joyful little moments and apply them maybe more intentionally to something else. And that's really what I want you guys to kind of think about.
Okay, I'm gonna get vulnerable here for a second, because I've had some moments over the last, I would say, month, and this website is one of those where, and even making the game last night, I mean, 24 hours, I made so much stuff, you know. sometimes I'm like, am I actually not that creative? You know, you can do anything, and you'll see examples of people doing stuff where you're like, oh my gosh, that's ingenious, or that's beautiful, or how did you think of that? You know, like this currency, you know, and part of me is like, man, did I make a career because I'm really good at functional, practical front end layouts? You know, dude, like I feel it's like deep in my soul, that question, now that it feels like the roof has been blown off of what you can accomplish.
I've felt the exact same way, because if I spend too much of my time in the B2B building like some of the best in class, or trying to achieve a best in class product experience, you do occasionally have to like get rid of a lot of the things that you think would make that a fun visual, or just you know, step-to-step experience. And then you get stuck in that, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking in like really rigid boxes now. What I've found is, going back to that kind of the clay metaphor, and I want to show some workflows around this, and then I want to get into our one-ups. Does that work out? We do workflows and one-ups instead?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, since we kind of I stole your thunder. I didn't mean to, but I got to show that cool
But
thing.
this is part of the game. We talked about this. It's like sometimes you're just going to beat me to it, which is totally fine.
Yeah. So let me show this, right? Because I talked about mood boarding, I think it was last week or the week before, and let's use your problem. You kind of teed me up really nicely here. If you are someone who's like, I can do so much now, is what I'm hearing, and I don't really know how to do it. Well, on one hand, you don't know how to do it because you don't know how to use the tools, but like you've got ideas. Or on the other hand, like, I know how to use the tools, but like, I don't really think I have very good ideas right now. And I think that's a very real thing to do. And for me, what I would say is, think about it as a block of clay in front of you. And let's say you're like, you know what? I want to make a hand like that landing page. Well, literally what you would do is you would shape the block of clay into like the most atrocious looking arm hand. It doesn't look anatomically correct. It's just this blob. And in a lot of places, like, and whether that's a wireframe, whether that's something you sketched on a piece of paper, no matter what, that is a fantastic place to start. But if you don't even know what to carve that blob out of, well, then wireframe first. And so using the example of, well, I want some really good 2D point and click UI interfaces. Well, I come and I make a collection. I spend my time collecting interfaces that speak to me, right? And then another thing that I'll do is when I start thinking about the clay, I'm like, okay, I have like the general bullet points of things I want. I'll kind of do what you do, and I'll yap to my agent, and it'll build stuff for me. And it's like, this is a really ugly piece of clay. You know what I mean? But it's forming. Like, clay is being formed here over time. And now I'm starting to just get rid of clay material. Like, no, that's bad. That's bad. And then eventually it'll start to become more additive than just taking things away.
Clarifying question. Those images that you just showed, were those just being generated as images? Was anything being built at all?
On this moment, oh, you know what this was doing? So these were generated from the one shot. This conversation that you're looking at, because I don't typically code through my OpenClaw agent, this is evaluating those one shots.
Cool.
So it's going through, it's like, yeah, here's my evaluation of the clay based on all the context I gave it of what I wanted. I had fed it a whole bunch of things.
Oh, cool.
I'll get into the taste gating of this, but it essentially was running this taste gate against it. And then we started to play a game where it said, well, let me try to improve a few of these and make some assets. And when I do that, I'll take these crappy blocks of clay. Sometimes I make the crappy blocks of clay. Sometimes AI will make those blocks of clay. And sometimes we'll both do it. They'll make some and I'll add some stuff. And then I'll go over, and right now my tool of choice that I adore is Image 2. Whenever I want to generate concepts of good-looking clay, specifically for like web and product-based UI, I will go to image 2 and I will post things. This is a bit further in the process. I have so many sessions, I couldn't find the original, but I'll say, hey, here's kind of where we're at. I want some help imagining what this could look like. And I'm cheating through a lot of this. I'm actually letting it run pretty autonomously on where it thinks directions could go. But then I just start kind of pruning that clay away again. Like this was one of the screens that the clay created. And I was like, this is not it. That's not it at all. And let's get a better version of that. Or let me show a better, let's get to something that kind of.
While you're looking, this is exactly what I should have done in retrospect. If I would have changed one thing about my own workflow, I built the scene with the benches in code first, but I totally should have seen that 20 different ways in image 2 and then just use that as a blueprint to build it. Because even right now I'm like, I want to change some things about the benches, but big lift, because now all of a sudden I'm changing 10,000 lines of code, it's just touching everything. And I made mistakes. I'm learning as you're going.
Well, and so like I was showing it, I'm like, listen, there's kind of these end of run summaries that show up every time you go through a run of the game FDE. And they're kind of just like, these don't cut it. I was like, this is where we're at. This is a look I really like. Now, I didn't do any human additions to this. I said, I like this a lot. And I want some more variations of that version. And that's essentially what it gave me here. Well, let me zoom in on that. It won't right now for some reason. There we go. So it kind of gave me these other ones. And then I could pull from, like, look at it. Image 2 has this. This tool is Image 2. It's ChatGPT for those who just joined. And we're walking through a workflow of asset creation and how I shape clay with AI outputs. And what we have here, it'll add a lot of unnecessary details. That is something Image 2 or just AI in general loves to do. Let's give eyebrow text and subtext and tooltips and let's add the most amount of visual noise as we can. And it is definitely part of your job to parse that out. But there are a lot of good ideas occasionally that come through these concepting. And so, for example, it gave me an idea. We liked this sort of console to show dialogue happening. And this was the web version. This was the block of clay in its lower fidelity. And I said, I want to add some detail of being inside of the rig that the player would be in to the walls here instead of just web-based. And so it gave me this. I said, cool. What we're going to have to do is cut out this window so that can be its own live background and we can use in a lot of different scenes. We're going to have to create stuff here. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's kind of where me and this agent were living for a while. And I said, listen, Image 2 can't generate transparency. You need to send it to me and I'll go and I'll cut out things that we need. So it would give me these, it would give me all sorts of different assets. And then I could come in here and I'll be like, oh, great. I don't think I'm logged in on Figma, so this is read only. But I'd come in, I'd just right click, remove background, saying you could see an example here. Here's the background of it. Here it is here. And then I'm going in and I'm telling the agent, hey, what I need you to do is basically crop out the console by itself, crop out the wall by itself, generate the missing piece of the wall. Now we have 2 layers of assets and we can add and take and create all kinds of stuff that we want from there. And it does a really good job of starting to create all these assets. And then you could create a pipeline if you wanted to, or you could take those over to a video app. And this is kind of how I created my intro background of the title screen, right? Let's see, what does this one do for me? Okay, so that's one end of it. On this end, there's the swarm. Oh, that's not very good. Where are we at? You get the idea. We have these, you pull in your different scenes, your start frame, your end frame, you prompt to fill in the middle, and you can create a lot of motion and animation here. So that is kind of a workflow that I call shaping clay. And I have a few more to show, but I want to stop for a second and see, do you work this way?
I mean, I'm starting to. Yeah. It's funny. I really think the last 3 weeks of just doing random experiments as a part of Dive Radio is what has pulled me way more in this direction. And a part of it has been seeing how you work too. Like I wouldn't have been able to say yes to it literally 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of different stuff here. There's something I ran into which was kind of interesting was so I said, okay, this is great as like a 2D app, but I really want to start making 3D objects. That's never I spent 2 years learning Blender many moons ago, and I still don't know how to use Blender. I've made a chessboard, I've made a bunch of tutorial stuff, and it's just a wieldy tool, man, an unwieldy tool. And Claude and a bunch of others like Unity, but Claude has announced like these different ways that they work inside of Blender or Autodesk. A lot of these 3D toolings, a lot of the game engines are getting MCPs. And so I said, okay, I have no idea how to use any of that type of stuff, you know, but like I know that Higgsfield has an MCP. I haven't really touched Higgsfield a lot. And so I come over to like the Blender MCP and you can see people have these different things. What you're watching here is AI just building this thing while he's just recording it. And it's pretty fascinating. And so I was like, well, can you do that? Can we do this? You know? And I want to find, I have to find, oh, I thought I pulled in my, give me a second. Because I want to show you this. I want to show what it looks like when you're generating assets. And a problem that I learned in working with 3D assets about like an empty fist. Here, give me a second.
We're just deep in your Bones OpenClaw archives right now.
Yeah, you are. This is
whenever I think I have an understanding of how many back and forths you have with Bones, then you share your screen on something like this, and I'm like, good God.
I know it's I live inside of this. I genuinely do. And here we go. This should get us to where I'm trying to go. Right? There we are. That's the one I want. And so
you're sharing slide.
Nope, I'm not sharing it. I got to remember to do that. Like, so I want to show this because I was like, okay, cool. Another one of my favorite games of all time was Shadow of the Colossus. For anyone who knows that, great game. One of the best. What's up, Omar? Good to see you. And so I said, cool. Okay, let's create some monsters. Let's create some giant, huge, larger than life monsters. And literally, if my metaphor of bad clay needs a visual, here you go. That was kind of the first thing it did. And so my prompt, by the way, up here was as simple as I have Blender installed. I want you to make use of its MCP to build 2 video game bosses in the spirit of Shadow of the Colossus. And it's like on it. And it basically set it up. And then within 7 minutes had a really bad looking render, And I was like, cool, that's terrible. Is there something we can do with Higgsfield, which has a number of tools for rendering things, creating video, and then little additional plugins that'll turn a video asset into like a sort of, it'll look like it's an object, a 3D object. And so that's kind of what it did. And it built this guy out. I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. It built in Higgsfield, then brought it over to Blender on its own and actually modeled it, right? And so when you bring a 3D model from a video into Blender and it actually models it, the kind of freedoms you're now provided is the ability to just manipulate lighting and shading and add texture and a number of other things. So it's doing that, and it built out this other monster. I'm like, all right, these are fine. This is cool. Like, here's a flying, it's starting to look like Pokemon, kind of, whatever, And I said, I actually want this to be more grimdark, and we need a hero. And actually, I want our hero to be like a kid fighting his monsters. And so we're getting like deep into it. And then there's like a companion. And so it was like, there's a better way to do this. There's another modeling tool called so-and-so. So let's use it. And it starts modeling out these grimdark creatures. And I'm like, oh, we're back at the shitty clay stage again, And I was worried that this is where it was going to stay. But as it started to kind of form these things, like this is not a very acceptable rendition, especially like, what is this? This is our kid? I'm not going to play a game with that. It literally looks like terrible clay. But it started to really then bring them in, and it started to inform me of the different tools that we could use to improve the fidelity of all of these things. And eventually we get ourselves like, none of this, like, what is this? This looks like the spaghetti problem, right? Of like the 7, the 11 hand digits.
Quick clarifying question. Quick question.
Go.
Were you specifically asking what other tools should I be using, or did it proactively do that? That was a question.
I did ask. Well, I said, hook up
that's a big unlock. That's right.
So what I said was, hey, Higgsfield is supposed to be pretty good as like a way to visualize the game worlds here. And it went and it pulled down, it connected to Higgsfield, it pulled down all its tools and it told me what they were. And I said, so like, are we able to use Higgsfield to generate objects? And it said, it actually has a couple 3D modeling that are specifically for this, just to get a feel for it. So what it would do on its own is it would image to generate a concept, and then it would come over. And in fact, like, this is our concept sheet right here. So it would concept the hero. It only showed me this version, but it's doing all of this on its own. It is literally concept arting out these creatures in one tool on Higgsfield, and then it's moving over into the other tool called like Houdin or something like that, and it's creating the mesh, the clay that sucks in that tool, and then it's bringing it over to Blender and it's building it properly based on this reference, the starting point, and then it gets to that last moment. And it didn't stop there though. That's not the last thing that it did. I'll get to one final piece here. Oops. You know, so like our kid's getting angry, is getting a little bit more lifelike, but we're still kind of far away from where it eventually landed. You know, it's like it's starting to color these things and add lighting to them, and it's building a lore Bible essentially to this.
I'm laughing because the last chat message just says, "What have I walked into?"
Yeah, you've walked into some mixed media workflows, and we're kind of demonstrating from a game perspective, right? But the thing that's really interesting here was this sword, and I'm not going to spend the Slack links are kind of weird, but it found that this sword, in order to make this like movable for a game, what it told me was like, hey, just so you know, the way this has been meshed and modeled up is it's basically vector soup, and it's not workable in the way we need it. And I said, oh no, like this all just was superficially cool, but not really working. And it said, no, but we can fix it. And I'm going to do that now. And then it went and meshed out like, and I'm not a 3D modeler. I haven't looked at this to verify. It claims that it is now workable. And I haven't turned this into a game yet, but that's kind of interesting that it was smart enough to recognize that his sword, basically his sword in his hand, there was no hole in his hand. It was just like all connected. And it's like, no, you need to separate these as objects, and they need to be rendered in such a way that it's workable in the code. And so kind of an interesting call out that I led from it. The way that it was telling that all of these were good or bad, in the same process I used for the game I showed you called FDE, was I created something called, I guess we'll call it like, I created a wiki of things that I want us to learn from. And then I guess we'll call it the wiki fed critic or something like that. So it was just another agent. We talk about loops. We talk about setting a gate that approves if that output from that loop can continue or not. And so the way that I did that, and someone talked about it here, by the way, and they called it this adversarial agent. And he said, Anshu is his name. He created the one-shot Opus 5 game, which is just wild it looks crazy. And he said, I made sure one of the biggest things that I did, and Matt Schumer talks about this in his Gauntlet loop, was creating an adversarial critic who just sits there and nitpicks everything you're doing. And they do it by giving it a proper prompt. And it just says like, hey, build a sense of taste and evaluate against this. Well, I did something a little bit deeper than that. And I actually went in, and the first thing I like to do, if I'm going to create a game or if I'm doing something specific, is I want to create kind of a knowledge house of what's known as best practices. And I do this for a lot of stuff. And a lot of times it includes a bunch of stuff from me. And then it'll also include a bunch of stuff from experts in the industry of whatever it is I'm trying to do. So let's take the game, for example. I said, hey, here are 6 games that I love, FTL, Monster Train, a bunch of similar like games. Go out on the internet, find game developer conference talks, anything that basically amounts to lessons learned from the creators of these games. Synthesize those videos and takeaways into a wiki about what we want. And then tell me what you think is worth calling out to make this the best experience within the context of what we're trying to do. So it builds out kind of the wiki, the lessons from FTL, lessons from the game Hades, etc. And then it builds out the research. This is all inside of Obsidian. And so it's pulling all this in. It gives me all these different lessons. It gives me an entire complete synthesis of the topic we're trying to do. And then I say, okay, cool. Now create a game critic. Do all the things that the last 2 people did with their game critic, and make sure you're using our search experience and look at this wiki every single time when you do this evaluation.
That's so smart. So smart.
And so the critic comes out and he's looking at these things and he's like, listen, this is ass. And here are the things that need to change in order for this, to go. And so you have that critic. And so that critic is something I'm learning how to build quickly in every project that I do. I still intend to be the final D decision maker, but having that critic to monitor parts of the loop that I don't always want to be involved in is really helpful. And I would recommend creating not just an agent that gates the progress, but an agent that is wiki fed. Build a wiki that is custom to your project and then feed it to a critic who is going to be the crankiest member of your agentic team for the project you're working on.
I love that, man.
Yeah. And then for anyone making games, just like, it's kind of fun. I do this with games, do it with your app. I had what I'm learning. Oh, this isn't playing. All right, screen share. I see you. I was recording how it spun up an agent to go and play through the game. You can do this to also play through your app, to step through your app. And it might have certain actions or time to task, things you measure. And the reason that those types of evaluations are kind of interesting is, especially with games, you want to make sure balance is correct. And we were having issues where like you'd get stuck in a fight for 7 minutes, or fights would just never conclude because they're kind of a tie. And so on version 8, it was like, what's the longest fight? 5.68 minutes across 3 playthroughs. And then you see it go down. So this is kind of a fun way that I don't replace user testing. Of course not, with real people. You need that. But before you graduate to that step, some of the user testing you can do is to have a before and an after state on versions and have an agent walk through the app and perform this on certain KPIs. I think that's a really compelling way to do this. I'm going to stop there. I went through. I just kind of like hammered through.
No, it's great. Like it sparks multiple ideas for me too. And I remember, what was I talking about? I think I was talking with Lordana, the Figma chief design officer, and she just talked about how important evals are, designing the right eval, and how that was going to be more and more of a part of like what good designers just do. Like there's creativity in thinking about the right evals and tests. And it's like one of those same things where something that was previously completely out of my realm of responsibilities now is completely up to me to prompt effectively, kind of have an idea of what's possible, and then just think of the right way that I could build this one little test to improve the output automatically, like capture all that low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I'm going to dig into these workflows on an upcoming YouTube video and really showcase any of this. If you guys have questions, I do want to introduce you 1-833-DIVE-IN-1 to the call-in line that we have available. I am going to arm this now, Rid, if you want to arm your side.
Yep.
And what's pretty cool, guys, is, I don't know, last The line is open. Last week, as Rid was frantically trying to get his baseball game going in time for the stream today, I was frantically trying to get our call line working. There are options out there that do it, but it had a couple features that just weren't going to fly for us, so I just built it. And we got it working, I'd say 90% of the way there. Very proud to have it. This week, we should be ready to rock. So if you have a question, if you have a gripe, if you just want to talk a little smack, this is the time to do it for the next probably 20 minutes here. We'll take your calls. We want to hear from you. This is a fun little segment. In the meantime, Red, how do you feel about all this mixed media stuff? Do you think this is like, let me ask you a debate question. Maybe we agree, disagree. I think mixed media is going to be the next massive, I don't know what you want to call it, trend, movement, design discipline that we start to see more and more of in spades. Agree, disagree?
I think that it is. Here's the thing, like the mixed media piece, the value is in the initial creativity, which can come from one person, and in the ability to effectively build the pipeline that scales to N number of people, which can also come from one person. So I think the impact, like the ROI of being able to leverage mixed media will skyrocket. And if you can bring that to the table, it's a really attractive thing. I think it's still going to be a little bit niche though, just because it's so unbelievably scalable. It goes back to what we were talking about last week, where I was saying how brand engineer was going to be like the big role for the remainder of the year. And this is kind of that, right? Like you could be a killer brand engineer by just understanding how to build these little mixed media pipelines that allow your company or product or whatever you're doing to scale your own creativity. So it's like yes and no, I guess. It's not like a hard disagree, but I don't think there's going to be, I don't know, the way that we're talking about it right now, I don't know if there's going to be like really scaled out mixed media teams in an org. I think you still have like more specialty skills like sound, video editing, that kind of things. But in terms of like the creative pipeline, I think it's just like a small subset of people in tech that are printing money and can get any job they want.
Speaking of sound, and you made this call out last week, seeing a lot more sound across the web. There's ways to do it well, ways where it's overdone. But every one of those examples that I showed, not the games, but the kind of more gamified web designs, every one of those had some sort of sound design. And I thought that was really interesting to see as a call out, because back to the question of how do you make someone care about a pixel, it's all of those ingredients.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a freshness about sound design too right now. Like I'm not a sound engineer. I have a musical background, and yet still I'm not actually able to distinguish between like the 90th percentile of quality sound design and the 100th percentile. There's just no way, right? Like for me, I'm still in the phase of, oh, cool, this website has sound. This is fun. Wow, I'm enjoying myself way more than I was in some copy experience that was just silent, right? Like it's fun and fresh. I don't know. There's this moment in time where it's like, it was such an easy win. But the professional sound designers are probably looking at us like, dude, that's trash.
Well, and I agree. And I have some stuff to talk about on the sound side. I won't get too deep into it, but on the YouTube video, I will. Adrian says, sure, but will you work on your game three time from now, or is it just momentary hype? And
3 months.
And 3 months from now, and then is it momentary hype? Well, so two things. One, you have to understand that part of my job is to explore these tools, go deep into them, and come out with where do I think they fit into the lay of the land of all the things we do. Two, I personally have an interest in making a game. I have for a very long time. And as I said earlier, the game I showed you, that's not the game that I will go to market with. But I have been working on the narrative and everything for that game. But what that game taught me, the one I just showed off here, was how to turn that into a game engine, and I do plan. So is all of that throwaway work? No. Will I continue to work on that game? I do have some stuff I'd like to finish and then call that done. But understand that a lot of, I go back to the quote that says, people Some people like to think in order to make, but other people like to make in order to think. And I am the latter. And experiments like these allow me to do that. Yeah. We've got some calls. Let's go ahead and take these on the show here. And let's find out, Rid, if this works. James, you are on the line with Dive. What's going on, dude? How you doing, man? Hold on. Can't hear him.
Oh, I can hear him. Oh, I broke it for you, and now you fixed it for me.
No. Share your
Oh,
screen. Red.
other people can't hear James.
Share
Oh,
your screen, Red.
brutal. Okay. Hold on, James. Hold on. Stay with us.
One sec, James. One sec. We're gonna solve this with you on the line.
What's this? What URL do I have to share, Tommy? Screen share in the bridge. Screen share this tab.
It's not gonna let you because it's not gonna let you access it right away. Oh. No. I got you. I keep forgetting it's the screen.
Yeah, because I am hearing.
We can hear you now.
Okay. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Can other people hear him?
Yes.
Chat, hit us up. Can you hear James?
I could hear both of you. Do you both want to put up the peace sign and just make sure you could?
I got you.
Sign.
I'm just
Okay,
want to make sure that.
Yeah. We're good now. You're gonna hear me a little echoey. I will fix that when we get back. Go ahead with your question.
No, it's echoey, but it's epic and it's cool because my heart's beating a mile a minute.
Right.
I can't believe I'm on here. This is really some radio.
We're not helping the nerves either.
Some radio-ness. So again, I came in watching the live feed when my what was it? You were showing that website with the hand, and it had like a messaging about what happens after you graduate. Totally relate with that. And I immediately thought of all the ways you could build that in Spline and in Blender, and then like right now I'm integrating chat to have my Webflow account talk with Spline so that you could have this
nice,
this sort of interactive portfolio. So yeah, I came to just talk about that, and also it sounds a little pick-me, but you said that we could talk shit if we wanted to. So I was going to ask you if you could defecate on my site live.
Colorful language. What's your site?
Mindjavelin.com.
Mind Javelin.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to switch view.
Wait, this is cool. There's no shadows. Right away, I'm like, it's that 1 hour of the one day of the year in Hawaii where there's no shadows on any objects and it kind of floats oddly. I get that vibe. Whoa. Yeah. You just be quiet, James. We just does. Yeah. The VHS overlay is cool too. This is kind of proving to be a little bit hard to shit on so far.
Dig that. I'm here. Yeah, you can hear me. Chat's just delayed. There we go. Okay. I like it's hard to read. This is
If you're not like if you're not bringing the skill set of like crazy immersive web design, like if that is what you are, then this is really interesting. If you are something else, then it doesn't like click immediately. I'm kind of like, part of me is just like, what are you? You know?
So to be clear, this is a portfolio website.
Yeah.
And what do you want the portfolio website to do?
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, I was what do I want it to do? I wanted to get me a job like in branding, and I'm like with my peers and my colleagues, I noticed that their websites are super flat, and I needed a way to differentiate myself, and I came up with this.
I think this is sick. I think it can work. I think you have to expose the easy path somehow too. Like if I could click a button and just have the single vertical scroll of an overlay of all of your work, and that I could just kind of rip through. Like if I'm only going to give this like 20 seconds kind of thing, I might get a little bit frustrated because I can't really evaluate you other than the fact that you can make like a really cool website. So let people explore if they want to, but if there's some way that you could like just give me the show reel or give me the like quick hitting boom, 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 here's 10 pieces of work where I can kind of check that box as somebody who's evaluating. I think there's a way to accomplish both of those goals where you're not really doing the latter for me.
Yeah, I would say on this page, this is fun. This should be an accent. Like it should be just a part of an opt-in. Oh, cool, he can do some cool stuff. Out here, and even if this was the main meal, you got to do something with his background, man. You got to complete the metaphor here. But outside of that, show me some of the quick path stuff here. Some work. Make it clear that I'm looking at a portfolio. I have no idea what I'm landing on. Give me your name. Give me some work around here. Make this one object on a little neighborhood of objects. You know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting at too. Maybe it's just like expose the happy path for somebody who just doesn't want to deal with it. I think this is, yeah. You should jump in the talent network though. I think this is actually really cool.
Where can they find the talent network?
I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you or someone you know are looking to work for some of the I think best companies in tech. The Dive Club Talent Network.
Yeah. People want brand specialists who can do wacky stuff on the web. That is an in-demand overlap of skills. So I do think you're directionally correct. Like there's something here. I think you can think a little bit more about like how to optimize for different types of hiring managers. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, then I think you actually have a slam dunk here.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind past 2 months. I saw one of Tommy's earlier videos where he posted that challenge where, just try to integrate AI into your workflow. And I just took it as a sign. It's like, yeah, why can't I try this? How can I make,
awesome.
Is there a way that I could take everything that I could do skill-wise and represent it online? Because that's always been the backstop for me, or the bottleneck is, I have to code. There's no way for me to integrate 3D without involving a programmer. So yeah, it's been like on top of raising my kid and, dealing with regular life stuff. It's been crazy because it's always like, you don't know what you're doing and you're constantly afraid, but then you're like, but that's where you're going to find the treasure is the cave that you're afraid to go in. So
That's
where I'm at, and I appreciate the clarity. It makes a lot of sense.
Hell yeah, James.
And,
Well, we appreciate
you calling in, man.
Yeah,
no,
thanks,
you got
James.
it. Keep doing this. This is great. I really appreciate. I'm so nervous I can't talk. I really appreciate what the both of you are doing. Thank you for bringing back live radio. This is tits, man. This is the best, and I feel supported by having you guys up here listening to us. All right.
Awesome, brother.
I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Okay.
Peace.
I'm gonna shut the line up. I have a couple people waiting. I need to solve the problem. Too many problems. I need to solve a lot of problems. I was getting some echo. Did you get echo?
Oh yeah, it's the quadruple echo.
Yeah,
it actually it takes I almost find myself listening more effectively because I have to use all of my mental capacity to understand what is being said, or I'm locked in. You know,
I'm fairly certain I know what the issue is though, because it worked well. It worked on your side, and I just have to flip that toggle for mine as well. So anyway, thanks for bearing
I'm
with us,
inspired by
everyone.
I think the combination of both James' website and then your pipeline you demonstrated is it's inspiring me because like Spline is another one of those tools, right? Like Blender, I never Blender. That Spline in theory offered the lightweight kind of 80-20. It almost felt to me like similar what Sketch did to Adobe Illustrator, where I was in Illustrator and all of a sudden you're in Sketch and right away you're like, oh my gosh, they took the 20% of features that I actually used and built a product for it. It feels like that might be what Spline is. Still, I don't have the 3D skills or I can't really evaluate. It's not me, you know, like it's not like a skill set of mine, but seeing how you're using Bones, for instance, like I feel like I could just prompt my way into building little adjacent 3D worlds that I can manipulate. Something there.
The number one thing, and Cope, please call in next week. I'm sorry, we gotta call it here. We keep running this show long, but we do want to hear from you. And thanks for calling in, everybody else. The one thing that I will say is, and you were doing this when I brought Bones into our shared Slack, but in general, like I was about to ask you a question. Hey, does Spline have an MCP? Well, just ask your agent, and then connect it, and then figure it out, and then learn through asking, and just do the same thing. Like any workflow that you want, that you have questions about, that you're like, can I even do that? Ask. Those are the questions. You got to catch those out of the thin air before they just are fleeting, and throw it into a prompt and learn about the answer to that question. And you suddenly in 5 minutes, you'll be generating 3D assets in Blender, and you'll be like, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible. And then it's like, well, what else can I do? That's the fun part.
I've already asked a question about my little backyard designers game, and it just says, how the hell would we make it so that people could add their own characters? We'll see. We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, I want to announce the designer of the week. Daniela Muntian. I have to remember how to say her last name.
Ooh, we got smoked this week, man.
We did get smoked this week, and let's pull her up again. Oh, this is sick. I love this.
Yeah,
this is
really
very,
nice.
very cool. Please go give her a follow. Daniela, I will be reaching out to you. Hopefully you see it. Would love a nomination from you on next week's Designer of the Week. Congratulations. We don't have any awards for you.
Your award is you're going to be the next person I add to this.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
She's not cheap either. She doesn't come cheap. $59K.
She's not cheap, no.
So we'll see what's going on. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I want to get ahead of topics and be like, next week we're going to talk about, but I really don't know, because like if I had tried to predict that this week was going to be this deep dive into games and juice, and then I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the South Park documentary? I can't remember how it's like 6 days to air or something like that.
It's one of my favorites.
That's
one of my favorites.
Unbelievable documentary. I don't even like South Park, and I have so much respect for those
So
people.
good.
Everybody should watch that documentary.
The
I kind of think that's what
process-
that's what this has to be. It has to be that. You can't plan more than a week ahead because the world moves too fast. It has to be 6 days to air. And by that I mean like 36 hours to air.
Like genuinely, that's how we've been operating, and it's been pretty fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you've been hanging out with us, we appreciate you. Thank you for calling in. Thanks for being part of this little ride. We will see you next week.